Okay, so long time no see, or hear, or talk. Yeah, I haven't been really good at this whole YouTube experience. I'm much better at my podcast, I would say, but it's been about the same amount of time since I've been on either one, really. I'm also pretty bad at keeping up with blogs regularly. But I recently, back at the start of 2020, returned back to an old hobby of mine that I truly love. And I think that YouTube is a great medium for talking and chatting about that. Maybe more so than the podcast, just because, well, first off, it seems like a lot of hobby people turn to YouTube, so there can be more open conversation. And also it's a little bit easier to visually see some things instead of me just describe it. So since I have this account, I might as well utilize this account. And yeah, so what we're going to do here with my YouTube account is going to go on a little journey. So many of y'all are already aware, I started my account Red Star Reviews years ago, primarily as a book reading, reviewing, book chat account. And around January 2020, I also dove back into my love of miniatures, like Warhammer 40K and so forth, to go ahead and paint and construct and build those. So I created a secondary account, Red Star 40K, to go ahead and follow that. Yeah, everything has to have a red star with me, don't you know? So both of these are running concurrently. I'm still running Red Star Reviews, still very active and reading. Now, I don't post as much as I used to there, but it's still there. And hopefully I'll get back to the podcast soon. I miss it. So, but I digress. What I'm wanting to do is kind of detail a journey into Warhammer 40K. So the primary thing I've been doing with Warhammer 40K for the past, couple of years has been working my way back into building and painting, a lot of kit bashing going on, and online narratives, things like that. Now, I have never really played the game of Warhammer 40K. So years ago, because keep in mind, I have had, this is my third trip into Warhammer 40K in my lifetime. Back in the early to mid 90s, I discovered it, thought it was really cool. Had to make a choice between miniatures or comic books, and comic books won. My miniature collection would be worth a lot more than my comic book collection if I stayed with it, ironically. That didn't put me through college. And then back in about 2003, I want to say, I made a foray into it again and got more minis, started painting them, played some solo games, set up a board with a couple friends and tried to figure out the rules, but didn't play. So that one kind of ended because social media still was in its early stages, I guess, and I didn't really have much of an outlet. I didn't have other people who were really jumping into it with me. So in 2020, when I found the online hobby community of Warhammer 40K, I discovered how amazingly welcoming it is, how, at least my personal experience, others may vary, but the people that I bumped into online, as it were, really loved kit bashing, loved online narratives, were extremely supportive, encouraging, gave lots of helpful clues and hints and tips on how to do things and how to accomplish certain aspects that I was trying to do, certain ways things looked. I learned about true scaling. It became a lot of fun for me. But in the middle of all that, I've been also listening to a lot of podcasts on Warhammer 40K, watching YouTube videos, seeing other people. And I decided one thing I've never done is I've never had a tournament army. Never have in Warhammer 40K. I'm basically a miniature hobby butterfly. Just flit around to, oh, this kit looks cool, I'll get this. Oh, this kit looks cool, I'll get this. Oh, this kit looks cool. And I love doing that. It's fun. And kit bashing is a ton of fun. And I've even started my own online narrative for Imperial Guard players to like kit bash squads together and share those. So that's a lot of fun. But I was just thinking it would be a lot of fun to pick one faction and build a 2,000 point army, because most tournaments in person want to go ahead and have about 2,000 points worth of army, and put that together and play. But the problem is I had a hard time trying to pick a faction that I actually liked enough to want to own, build, and paint 2,000 points worth of a team and learn how to play with it and develop it. So even knowing that I wanted to do that, I just couldn't pick a faction. So that was one of the good things about being a hobby butterfly. Sometimes you come in contact with a lot of different ones. And I love, like I said, I love kit bashing. But here's the thing. If I actually want to be able to play in a legitimate tournament, like a international tournament circuit, ITC level tournament, which would be fun, because then I could be ranked internationally. I'd probably be ranked like 4,998th out of 5,000 if I were lucky. But that would be so cool. And I have to actually build the army in the way that it's supposed to be built, and paint it, and decorate the base of the miniature, and all these different things. So I just had a hard time kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. So along came the Adeptus Mechanicus. So I bought an AdMech kit because it looked pretty cool. And I opened it up and I thought, this is amazing. It's like vintage, retro, sci-fi, robotic, Space Invaders. Super cool. Like, loved it. And I just was like, well, this would be cool. If I had to pick a faction, I probably would go with them. This is really cool. And then I set it down and went about my way, used it to kit bash a couple other things. But I really like the weapons. I really like the kits. I really like the minis. I like the backpacks. I like everything about it. So I kept thinking about it and I thought, I really want to build a 2,000 point army, but I don't want to do Imperial Guard, because if you do Imperial Guard, which they're cool and I like them, but you really are relying upon your tanks and artillery much more than the guardsmen, it seems. At least looking from the outside in. I'm sure there's guard players that would disagree with that. Space Marines, yeah, they're fun, but I don't know that I really wanted to do Space Marines. And I looked at the Adeptus Sororitas, and I looked at the Adeptus Custodes, looked at Gene Stealer Colts. Now that almost caught my attention because of how much you have to kit bash. Tyranids, all of these I just kind of looked at, and none really were catching me. But then I thought about AdMech again and how much I love the Skitarii kit that I gotten. And I also got a kit of Castellan robots, which I haven't put together yet. So I had these AdMech, the starting of a little AdMech army, and I'm like, I like Adeptus Mechanicus. I got the start of an Adeptus Mechanicus force. What if I just pick Adeptus Mechanicus because I really like them, so I'd have fun putting them together, because it's almost like kit bashing because of how fiddly all the parts are. And I could create a force and then eventually maybe play in my local area in a tournament. And then a hobby store opened up about, half an hour up the road or so that actually hosts Warhammer 40K tournaments. 2,000 points, of course. And then there's some that happen in another town a little ways up further. And I'm just looking at these and I'm like, I've got a place I could play if I had an army. So in my infinite wisdom, I have decided to pick a faction and to collect that faction and put together a 2,000 point army, purchase, build, paint, base, have it legitimate so it can go into a tournament, even though I'm not the world's greatest painter, but still, it's going to be fun. I'm excited. So I decided to pick Adeptus Mechanicus. So I am now starting a very long journey. I set myself a goal of, well, like within 2 to 3 years, let's have that 2,000 point force. I mean, I'm hoping I can do it sooner, but I'm giving myself a little wiggle room because it's hard to find hobby time sometimes when you also have a full-time job and a family. And I mean, Warhammer 40K ain't the cheapest stuff out there. So I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room on how long I intend to create it. But I want to go ahead and also talk about it and share the journey, because I know there's a lot of other folks out there that think Warhammer 40K is cool, but don't really know where to start or what to do or anything like that. I will not claim to be an expert. There are tons of experts out there. If you're already watching this on YouTube, you can just like hit the search bar and you will find Warhammer 40K experts that are going to tell you everything you need to know. But if you want to have fun following along with an amateur that's trying to build a tournament force, hey, come join me. So that is the goal. That's what I'm wanting to do. And so over the next little while, hopefully I'll post a little bit more regularly. Every time I come back to YouTube, I'm trying to find something to just kind of pull me into posting more often and actually building up my YouTube channel. This is probably going to be it, because I think most of my everyday friends and coworkers are probably getting tired of hearing me talk about Warhammer 40K. So this will give me a little bit of an outlet to go ahead and chat about that. So yeah, the goal is to go ahead and create a 2,000 point Adeptus Mechanicus army that I can then enter into tournaments, learn how to play with it. And once I've actually got a couple tournaments under my belt, hopefully be able to join into a ITC level tournament and be able to play and hopefully get ranked internationally and not be embarrassed too much. Now, there's a lot of talk about which is the best faction, worst faction, all that. I'll go ahead and just say some of the best advice I was given, and I like this advice, is don't try to pick a faction just based on what's winning or losing at the time, because the rules will change, points will change, systems will change, and you're stuck with an army. So get one you enjoy painting, you enjoy putting together, you enjoy seeing, you enjoy playing with, fits your style of play. And for me, yeah, Adeptus Mechanicus did all that. So that's why I'm going for there. So yeah, the goal now is to go ahead and create a 2,000 point army and learn how to use it and put it into tournaments. So that's what we'll be talking about here. I'm really excited. I want to go ahead and record this first episode of it and just kind of give a rundown of what we're doing. And then the very next episode that I add will be actually introducing you to how I'm starting to build that army and kind of what you need to get involved in Warhammer 40K. So that way, if you want to follow along and join it, you can get those hints. And if not, you can still see, hey, this is cool. You might enjoy it. But yeah, in the next episode, you will get to meet my first constructed Adeptus Mechanicus character for my force. Give you a little teaser, and here he is. This is a really cool mini, and you'll get to learn a little bit more about this cool mini in the next episode, because every little thing that you glue on there matters. Remember that. And yeah, hope you enjoy. If you're not already following me on Instagram, consider joining and following. Also on Twitter and on Facebook. You can find me under Red Star Reviews or Red Star 40K on both of those sites. And if you enjoy this, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button and follow along. Thank you.